to my tack room, a very messy place at the moment. It's Sunday and I feel like I need to have a bit of a tack room tidy, a tack clean. I've been trying to like get my tack clean for the last month probably, and it's just not happened. When it's so cold, you don't really want to stand in the tack room and clean tack, and I've got about 5 bridles that need cleaning and 3 sandals. So I'm going to be here a while, and the tack room's just, because it seems so dark so early at the moment, I just feel like nothing extra gets done. Anyway, I thought why not combine a bit of tack cleaning with a kind of get to know you video. I know I've been doing YouTube for a little while now. I mean, I wouldn't say massively successfully, but you know, my channel's growing slowly but surely. And I'm very proud of all the subscribers we already have. I just thought this is gonna like, this is gonna jingle jangle the whole way through. I didn't really think that through, did I? Anyway, I thought maybe I would, I mean, I'm a pretty boring person, I'm not gonna lie. I'm no party animal or anything like that, but I thought maybe you guys can get to know me a little bit better. I've thought up some facts that you might not know about me. One of the things I do want to do this year, next year I should say for 2023, I want to try and kind of push my Instagram and YouTube together. So I don't have a huge amount of following on Instagram, but I don't ever connect the two together. So I'm not sure people on Instagram really realise I do YouTube. And it would probably be a good idea to try and link the two together a bit more. I feel like I'm always slightly hiding it, that I'm like, I still think even after 2 years I like hide that I do YouTube. I don't know why, I should really just get over that. But I do. So first thing I thought you guys might not know about me, probably not because I don't think I've ever mentioned it, is that I, as a child, did quad bike racing. Quite a good one, isn't it, to start with? Yeah, so I raced quad bikes as a kid. So I've always done ponies, so I always went to the local riding school from like about the age of 4, and loved ponies and would like go and ride friends' ponies and stuff like that. But from about the age of, I want to say about 7, I think, 7 till about 10 or 11, I also did quad bike racing, and like competitively, like I would go off many weekends of the year racing with my dad. And yeah, I had a quad bike that I called Pepsi. I can't remember what cc she was. And yeah, we did like a, I don't know, like a club tournament cup thing. I did grass track racing as well. And yeah, we weren't too bad. Not saying to say we were winners all the time, but we did not do too badly. And back then, I was probably one of only 2 girls on that like little circuit that did it. Even got as far as representing my country and going to a big championships in the Netherlands. So we took it quite seriously. Proper racing, proper crashes, all that kind of thing. A lot of getting my hand for quad bike racing. I don't know how it is nowadays, but we used to have like the starter gates used to be elastic wire, and if you went too soon you used to get the elastic wire right around your quad bike and your wrists, and I can tell you that really hurt. And have definitely hit people, run over people, not on purpose obviously, but you know, it was still quite hardcore even back then. I'm pretty sure my dad lied about my age. I think you had to be over 8 to race, and I think my dad just lied at my date of birth so I could do it from 7. And I was proper tomboy as a kid, so for me it was kind of like, I just thought it was really cool. Still got super nervous. I can remember even to this day being really nervous racing. So when I say like I've had nerves all my life for like competition, I really have. So yeah, so that's a fun fact. I'll put a picture up on the screen, but I don't have any video or anything of me doing it. But yeah, used to spend many weekends going off racing. Have quite a few lovely little trophies somewhere in the attic from racing. And yeah, it used to be, I think our thing used to be sponsored by, is it Hush Puppy? Oh, God, I can't remember the names of things, yeah, which was great. And I'm pretty sure if it was Hush Puppy, yeah, they used to have this like big trailer that had all the amazing championship trophies on, and you'd get like Hush Puppy jumper and hat and all that. And I just think it's like the thing I wanted to win the most. So yeah, there's something. But when I got to, I think 10 or 11, my dad told me I had to make a choice, and it was either ponies or quad biking, but I couldn't do both. And so I decided I wanted to do ponies, even though at that point I still only managed to, like, I was only doing riding school stuff. I wanted a pony, and that is when I went and got my first pony, and the quad biking ended, probably much to my dad's disappointment, because I think he absolutely loved the fact that I did racing, especially as I was a girl. So that's the first thing that I thought probably, well, I don't think I would have ever mentioned it. Second thing, I thought you guys, I would have definitely mentioned this, but I don't know how much I would have ever talked about it. And that is that when I left school, so I actually left school after my AS levels because I didn't particularly love school. I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, or whatever that saying is. Like, I'm not super bright. And school just wasn't my thing, really. I always wanted to just go home and ride, and to be honest, any opportunity I could get out of school to go home and ride and catch a lift with somebody, I did. So it's after my ASs, I just didn't feel like school was for me anymore. So I left, and I actually got a job in Denmark at a dressage yard / stud, which is where Corporal is from. So I probably have spoken about this before, but obviously Corporal is from Denmark, and we happened to go over to this amazing massive yard just through friends of a friend's, just to have a look around. And of course, you know, the yard owner there wasn't stupid. He brought out a few horses for me to have a sit on. We weren't technically looking for a new horse at the time, but he did. And excuse me while I pick up another bridle, excuse me the girth. Yeah, he brought out Corporal, and that's how I came across Corporal, and I sort of just fell in love with this 4-year-old stallion. And he also offered me a job at the same time. So that's how I started off working. I was just 18, literally I had just had my birthday when I went out there. And that was quite a big deal for me because, as you know, I'm a complete wimp in life. I'm not very brave, and so to kind of go out to a country that I couldn't speak the language and all that was quite a big deal. Obviously it was amazing because it meant that I could have exceptional training by one of the best riders and trainers, probably not only just in like Denmark and Scandinavian countries, but you know, probably one of the best trainers in the world, to be honest. And I was very lucky because, or very fortunate that that one of the other grooms there happened to be an Australian, which was brilliant because at least I could talk to somebody. And yeah, so that's where I had some training on Coop. It was an amazing location as well. It's very near the sea, and though I never actually got to ride on the beach, they had the most incredible like woods. I mean, they never go hacking over there. Like, they had like several indoor schools and several outdoor schools that they never used because I went in the winter. And I used to just go off hacking on Corporal, who was a 4-year-old stallion, on my own, and just go around the woods. And they were so dry, and the sea was just on the other side of the woods. And it was amazing. I used to think, I can't understand why no one would want to go hacking, because it was like incredible. And to think back now, like, I could never imagine doing that on Sienna. But Coop was just such an incredible horse, even from day dot, that he just did it. You know, there was even like little logs and stuff that I jumped in there, and I was like, oh, this is good for when we go eventing. I mean, obviously I was a bit braver when I was a teenager, but even so, what a superstar Coop was. I always used to go out in the outdoor arenas because they were never used. And people used to go, why are you going out there? And I was like, well, because no one's out. You know, everyone would be in the indoors. And I was like, because I can have them to myself. And yeah, they just never used them. So I worked in Denmark for a few months and then brought Coop back so that I could event the next season. So that was fun. That was quite a lot, you know, you learn a lot then. And fun fact, I actually owned, so after Corporal, maybe, I can't remember how many years later, I was so obsessed with Corporal and that he was such a phenomenal horse. I wanted another one. I wanted another Corporal. And so I managed to find a half sibling of him called, so Corporal is called Bogelli's Corporal, and I found a Bogelli's chick. And anyway, she was dirt cheap. She was in some Danish like riding magazine. And yeah, we went actually back over to Denmark. I honestly can't remember how many years later this was, but we went back out to Denmark. She was quite similar looking to Coop. They're definitely very similar. And I remember I tried her in this indoor school. We couldn't, you know, they couldn't speak English. We obviously couldn't speak Danish. But we ended up with her. I couldn't steer her. I couldn't stop her. I couldn't do anything with her in the indoor school. But I was like, it's fine. We'll learn. So later on, we ended up with Chick as well. Chick was amazing. She was so strong. I can't tell you how strong that mare was. She was a powerhouse. She was bigger than Coop and like more stocky. Great jumper, very talented, but she was strong as anything. And she did a few shows. I think we did go eventing with her and stuff like that. But with strength, I had big issues being able to stop her. Sadly, later on in life, she just was never very well, and she would quite regularly colic, but not like a normal colic. and sadly in the end we lost her. We couldn't save her. But so for the last few years of her life, she didn't really do a huge amount. I think I sort of hoped that one day she would just be all right, but she didn't. So that was a real shame, because I think I'd had also hoped that I might then breed from her, because Corporals has been so phenomenal that I was just like, I want to like continue this breed line. But sadly it wasn't to be. But fun fact, when I was looking for Sienna, I found out that Coop had a full sister. This time she was called Bogelli Starling, and she had already bred a few foals in Denmark, and the Bogelli stud was closing down. And I was very, very tempted. I'd spoken to the owner of the stud and everything, was so tempted to buy Bogelli Starling just for the fact that I could continue the breed line and produce more, hopefully, Corporals. And I was so tempted. I can't tell you how tempted I was. But I don't know anything about breeding, and I don't really have the space here. And also it was going to stop me from competing. So obviously she wouldn't have been brought to compete. She'd have been brought to continue as a brood mare. And it would have meant waiting years before I could do any more competing. And I just wasn't sure I wanted to wait. I don't know, part of me sometimes thinks, do I regret that decision? Because, you know, not to say that, you know, I'd have bred lots of mini Corporals, but both Corporal and Chick were incredibly talented horses. But obviously we went with Sienna instead, and to be honest, Sienna, without a shadow of doubt, is going to be an incredible competition horse. It might take her a little while because she's, you know, she's a little bit sparky, but I just know she is going to be exceptional with whatever she ends up doing, hopefully dressage. So that's another fun fact. Anyway, I thought, interesting fact, I originally wanted to do horses, literally probably from primary school I knew I wanted to do horses. But if I hadn't have done horses, and it's only kind of in the last maybe 5 years that I've realised this, I probably would have wanted to do something in history. You know, I really like doing history videos on this channel. They take a lot of work, and sadly they don't get a huge amount of love. So I try not to do too many of them, but I've got one at the moment that I'm kind of reading up and researching on. But yeah, I think now I've realised that if I hadn't have done horses, I would like to have gone into some area of history, because I just find it absolutely fascinating what happened in the past, and I just can never get bored of it, never ever. And I would be probably somewhere nice and warm, and not stinking of horses. I mean, there's always time to change careers, but at the moment I'm still quite happy doing horses. So yeah, if I was to do something else, it would be history, and I always did alright with history at school. So yeah, I don't know, maybe in the future. If I was to have a favourite hobby outside of horses, I mean, horses pretty much take up the whole of your life, don't they, really? There's not really much time for much else. But this probably is one that people might already guess if you've watched more recent videos of mine, but probably photography. I did actually, for a couple of years, do photography like every weekend. So I would go and photograph shows in that area, and at times it was really, really successful, but I just wasn't in the position to move it on. And really I needed to, like, you know, be able to do online on-site printing and all that, and it just wasn't the right time for that. I couldn't afford everything that it needed to be put back into it. So it's a real shame, because we had some really successful shows, and also I did it all on my own. So I'd sometimes go to these shows and be literally running around all day trying to photograph as much as I could. But yeah, sometimes amazing results from the competitions, and I love taking photos. Like, I get so excited every time I sort of plug my camera back into my laptop and I get to see what I've taken, you know, how my photos turn out, which is why I really love doing stock imagery now, because it gives me an outlook, or yeah, it just gives me something to, you know, when I do photograph stuff, it gives me a reason to do it and somewhere to put it. So I feel like I've got a good happy medium now. I mean, I'll never earn any money from doing stock imagery, but I enjoy it all the same. Yeah, there really isn't anything interesting to talk about with me, so I'm hoping just that little insight. It's not really a get to know you, is it really? It's just a chat and answer questions. Anyway, I hope that was of some interest. Who knows? I'm going to continue to scrub some grease off of this noseband that's come from Varty, and probably leave you guys there, because like I say, not really much more to talk about with me. Pretty boring person, but I'm fine with it. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week.